Hi, Steve here, and in this video you're going to learn how to remove halos in Photoshop easily when exposure blending or replacing a sky with one that you've cut out from another image. Because sometimes no matter how good a cutout you create or how good your layer mask is when blending exposures, it may be inevitable that you end up with bright halos around your horizons or other objects when exposure blending or replacing one sky with another. So in this video I'm sharing two quick and efficient techniques to remove edge, fringe or outlines from cutouts and masks. So if you like this video, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button so that I can keep making more videos that you're interested in. And remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification icon so that YouTube will notify you each time I publish a new video. So I've just opened an image of mine which I previously processed and used this in my Creative Color Compositing class course. But there's just one specific point in this in the processing of this image, which is a sky swap. So here's the image without the with its original sky, and here's the blended sky, and then here's the finished image, just for your reference, really. So yeah, I've turned off all of the adjustments that came after this point here, just so that we can focus on the actual sky blend and the fixing of the halos. I won't go over exactly how I cut out the sky and masked it in. I've got heaps of other videos on exposure blending and masking and that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll kind of pick up from here where we've got the image, and you know the sky is quite light in comparison to the rest of the foreground, and then I had this really beautiful sunrise photo which had an awesome sky, and I've just kind of cut that out and blended it in here, just using a layer mask to kind of go around the edges of the mountain there. And if I zoom in, we'll see the kind of halo that I'm referring to. I think we might have to zoom in quite a way. So here we've got, you know, the outside edge of the mountain here is just a lot lighter, and it's got this really bright halo because the selection or the layer mask there, it's, you know, for one reason or another, it's basically unable to completely eliminate that, no matter how close you get and accurate you are with your masking. So actually the very first technique, or the first tip really, it's not a technique as such, that is going to help you get rid of this kind of thing is to actually think about how bright your new sky actually needs to be. So let me zoom out. Now, the original sky was a lot lighter than this one that I'm importing. So when I import this darker sky, it's kind of put the whole image out of balance. You know, the foreground is actually lighter in comparison to the sky that I brought in. Or if you think about it another way, the sky is actually too dark for this image. So the way that you can, well, the first thing that you would want to try is just lightening the sky to kind of try and bring back some of that balance and get it to the correct brightness. So the way that I've done that for this image is I've added a curves adjustment and I've clipped it to that sky layer. And so when I do that, you can see the background, well, I've just enabled that layer that was existing already. And when I do that, the background or the sky gets a lot lighter, and instantly that halo almost disappears. I mean, it's still there, but it's a lot harder to detect when the sky is as light as it should be in comparison to the rest of the image. So the way that I did that, I mean, it's just a curves adjustment that increases the brightness of the image, but I'll just add another one to show you how I would add that again. Now I'll just add a curves adjustment. I'll just drag it down here, so I'm going to put it straight on top of the sky layer there. Now if I increase the, oh, actually it's already got the clipping, so let me just remove that again, and I'll remove this one here and start again. So okay, let's add that curves adjustment, and now that's appeared above the sky layer. And now if I push this curve upwards like I normally would to brighten the image, you'll see the whole image gets brightened. But if I hit this little icon here, or hover the mouse between the two layers and Alt click, then that's gonna, well, you'll see the adjustment layer, it sort of shifts to the right, and we've got this little arrow here indicating that the curves adjustment is now clipped to this layer immediately below it. So anything we do with this curves adjustment only affects this layer. So now we can increase or decrease the brightness of the sky without affecting the rest of the image. So like I said, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you've got the balance right between the brightness of the foreground and the sky. Now let's just remove this now. Let's assume that this is as dark as I want the sky, and it's as bright as I want the foreground to be. So now I'm going to show you how to actually fix these halos if, like I said, the sky and the foreground are as in balance as you want them to be. So the process goes like this. Let's add a new empty layer. Let's just put it below the rest of the layers there. And we're going to pick the clone stamp tool, and we're going to change the blend mode of this layer to darken. And then what we're going to do is, well, we have to first figure out what's darker, the sky or the foreground. Now I think in this case the foreground is actually darker than the sky, and that's important. So if that's the case, if the sky is lighter than the foreground, then we're going to need to sample the sky. If it's the other way around, then we'll need to sample the foreground. So let's just zoom in a bit closer. So with the clone stamp tool, I'm going to hold Alt or Option on the keyboard, and you see the icon there, or the mouse pointer changes. I'm going to sample just next to the edge of the mountain, and then I'm going to use that to brush into this halo. And now, thanks to the blend mode that I selected of darken, that's only going to clone into the image where the area that I'm cloning into is lighter than what I'm cloning with. So i.e. the clone is going to darken those halos without darkening the image, or without darkening the foreground. So again, you just sort of go around the edge there, just sampling the sky that's next to the area that we're cloning. And there we go. That is pretty much how it's done. So you can, if you've got like a uniform color in the sky, then you can just use a colored brush and sample the color from the sky. You don't have to use the clone stamp, but for the more accurate job, you're probably going to want to use the clone stamp tool. And there we go. That is a pretty effective way to remove those bright halos from around the edges of objects and whatnot when you're blending exposures or swapping a sky, replacing a sky with one from another image. And there we go. If we zoom out now, then we'll see that halo is practically eliminated. In this case, the sky probably is still too dark for the foreground. And when I processed this image, that was something that I addressed by adding that curves adjustment to brighten the sky. But hopefully, just doing it this way has served as just a good example of how you can get rid of those halos when they do appear. So with that, I hope you found this video useful, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.